So I first got into GEU. I came from University of Missouri as my undergrad, and the year I was leaving there, the university pulled healthcare overnight with no warning. They were a non-unionized university. And healthcare is really important to me. I have a congenital heart defect. So when I got here and I knew there was a graduate union, I wanted to get involved right away because I know that the amount of protection and kind of safety a union provides members and graduate assistants across the university.
I got involved in the union for a couple different reasons. I come from a really strong working class background, so it's always been really important to me of kind of labor protections and making sure disenfranchised and vulnerable populations are protected.
Graduate Employees Union serves a really unique kind of situation and circumstance. Graduate employees are especially vulnerable. You can imagine minimally 20 hours a week to your job, minimally. 40 hours a week to your various studies and research. And then if you're a parent, additional hours on top of that.
The common issue that graduate students have of trying to figure out if they're a student or an employee and not necessarily consolidating the fact that they are both and that both of those roles are equally important.
Even though they are getting an advanced degree, that at the moment right now, they're a worker, and they're a worker that, is kind of subject to the whim of the employer.
As a union, we are supporting a community that has these people who have these hybrid roles but are employees.
So we have this collection of employees who stay here for a couple years and then move on. So we constantly never have people with more than a few years of experience doing this kind of thing.
We encounter difficulties because of the turnover, right? And so we really have to focus more on building internal structures.
Graduate school is a short period of time. If it weren't for an organization like GEO, we wouldn't have the kind of longevity and institutional memory that we do have. It's also really nice to be able to understand that I'm stepping out of this particular organizing effort, and that there are people who are going to step in and are going to take that over and are going to carry it forward so that the work that we've done won't be lost, and we can hand that off to the next generation of people coming in. All of those things make GEO a really key organization to driving the quality of life for graduate students.
It's sometimes difficult for the university to see the incentives or to have the infrastructure and the motivation to provide resources and support for the diverse body that they bring in. And I think one of the great things the union has been doing is really applying pressure and sort of getting the university to understand what needs to be done and also giving some force to the things that should be done for students.
Labor is one of the only ways we can exercise power over those who have power over us, right, our employers. And so we can kind of organize and fight for our working conditions and use unions as a very, very powerful tool to organize for things like queer and trans justice.
We want to be more inclusive towards people of marginalized status, the people who need the union the most, those who are traditionally marginalized within academia and are considered non-traditional just in their very existence.
When we talk about diversity, we don't just mean identity, it can also just be your life status at the moment. So like one of the big issues that we pushed was better parental rights, better parental services, making sure that if people have kids, they're able to take care of them, and that that's a respected thing.
Even though we have an incredible amount of diversity in our union, there's a way in which grad students support one another that I think is one of our strengths against the administration, who kind of expects us to be divided.
Having just finished my graduate degree, looking back, GEO has been probably the most supportive organization at this university, and the place that I have felt most comfortable and empowered to raise issues of importance.
So the thing that made this seem really possible was that we were kind of doing this work through a labor union. We weren't just kind of asking them to give us healthcare through the kindness of their hearts, we were showing up with workers. We were showing up with people who weren't impacted by trans health, but who saw that their comrades in the labor union were.
And because the trans community is small numerically, right, having a large backing of people willing to show up for this type of thing.
So getting people to turn out to rallies, getting people to turn out to crash the meeting.
And to demonstrate that there's not only a small group of people who are pushing these issues and who care about them, but actually that there's a large group of people behind us, our friends and our colleagues, is really critical.
Most of the people who came to the rally were not trans. Most of our petition signers were not trans, but these were all people who recognized that trans healthcare is a workers' issue and that we have to kind of fight for all of our workers' issues in order to fight for any of them successfully.
It's one thing to get people to understand that they're workers and the need to rise up in their own defense, but it's another thing to get people to a place in their own head where they're standing up on behalf of colleagues who are experiencing things that they will never experience, right?
I know one really helpful thing was the community support and the way that it sort of helped members recognize the solidarity in the community, but also helped the university recognize the solidarity that was sort of building against them.
Then when an administration sees how strong the solidarity is across campus, when you have students, grad students, faculty working together, different staff members, and even some administrative bodies that get involved in this, that really applies pressure.
One of the biggest helps we had was Todd Tennis and Curtis Hertel Jr. coming out to one of our demonstrations and giving speaker time, and that was an immense help to have support from local politicians. We had professors and other faculty join the march. It's a little bit nervous to do a disruptive demonstration like marching across Grand River to cause a traffic jam. And one of the most helpful things for me, I think, kind of supportive honks or shouts of solidarity of people as they were kind of waiting for us to march past. That demonstration of support really helps kind of solidify our members and people standing behind them and sort of this sense of doing what's right for the university and the community.